Hello, hello. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Hopefully you guys are having a great Monday. Hello, Marvin. Hello, Jen. Make sure you share the live. We're going to have a great conversation today. Hello, Sons of Steel. Welcome, welcome. Make sure you share the live. We're going to have a great conversation today with Kris, the CEO of Mecca Management. Make sure you share the live. How's everyone doing? What is the weather like? What's going on? Surprisingly nice here in Edmonton. We're supposed to get some snow on Wednesday though, but generally nice. What's going on where you guys are? Hello, Jan. Welcome, welcome. Make sure you share the live. Just gonna wait for our guest. How was your Monday so far? Yes. As soon as the sun disappears, it gets cold. Most definitely. I feel like it's dark, I want to say like 80% of the day. Hello, Tropical Fat. Welcome, welcome. Make sure you share the live. Yes, it looks like 10 p.m. and it feels like 10 p.m. That is for sure. Share the live, share the live. Just waiting for our guest to join us. How's New York? Tropical Fat, how is New York? Have you guys had snow yet? Is it still mild? As you can tell, I'm wearing a sweater, so you know it's cold over here. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully everyone's having a good night. Oh, you no longer get snow. Well, lucky you. We're probably getting all your snow then. Oh my goodness. Just gonna wait a few more minutes and then we'll get started. Make sure you share the live. It's going to be a great conversation tonight. With Mecca Management, with Kris, the CEO. We're going to talk about anything and everything. Going to wait one more minute before a few more people come in. So welcome to All Things Pan. I am your host, Danielle George, for the evening. I see we have some new viewers. So usually on this page, we talk to steelpanists, tuners, arrangers, builders, steelpan enthusiasts, pertaining to all things pan. I feel like dancing. This season, we mixed it up a little. We had some open discussions. We spoke to a few soca artists. Hopefully we're going to talk to some DJs as well. So tonight we are going to talk to the CEO of Mecca Management. Let me see if I can find her. DJ Les. Kris Murrell. Just waiting for her to join us. Make sure you share the live. It's going to be a great discussion. Hello again.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I don't know if you have a fan on you.
Oh.
Yeah, you can kind of. There we go. How are you this evening?
Warming down. Warming down.
Okay. So, before we get started, I normally like to get our viewers to ask you some questions. So, hopefully you're okay with that.
Of course.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure. So, for those that don't know you, do you want to introduce yourself?
Where do I start? Well, I am Kris. My government name is Kristen, but most people vouch that, so we stick with Kris. That's totally fine. Well, I am a panist by trade, I guess. And I consider myself an arts administrator in music and a steelpan advocate. I am now an entrepreneur.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm, a daughter, a sister. I'm a godmother of four. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Nice.
Yeah, I am musically trained with 2 degrees, 1 diploma, and about 8 professional development certificates. About that.
Okay.
And yeah, overall, I've just kind of been involved in getting more and more involved in music business, getting more on the business side of production, and working behind the scenes on a lot of things. And I've been, over the last couple of years, I've been a little bit more passionate about steelpan education, and through that I've done about 2 conferences and 1 workshop focusing on reinforced learning, teaching music in the classroom, also on the economics of music in Carnival. I believe that was the title of that one. And then education for post-millennials through technology. So with all of them focusing on music and with an emphasis on steelpan. So that is, in a nutshell, who I am.
So how did you get involved with playing the steelpan?
I guess, you live in Trinidad, so you're kind of always around pan in some way, form, or fashion, even if you're not involved. But I grew up with a pan. I grew up with a pan in my home. It was not my pan, but a pan was in my home. And I think in high school, I I kind of lived in the music room, even though I wasn't doing music. And when they decided to go to Panorama, that was kind of the first time I really ventured out into Pan. So I started in high school. I played for 2 years, and then I joined the large band conventional stateside.
Mm-hmm.
And I also played with a separate junior band. And since then, I've just kind of been playing Pan. So that's since I was about 13.
Oh, wow.
So,
So a long time.
yeah. I mean, it don't feel that long because I'm always around more experienced players who've been playing. Like just last night, I was having a conversation, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I played with this band since I was like in like 1980 something." I was like, "Hold up," I was like maybe 2. So let's so I don't feel like I've been around that long.
Well, for the age that you are, you've been around long enough. So what got you so passionate in being the advocate for Steelpan?
Uh, I guess a lot of it is just circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Starting, I was playing on stateside. I had the opportunity to really meet with just a lot of different people because steel bands are always interacting. You're always going
Right.
with you're always playing at another band's yard, or you might have the same gig somewhere or whatever. So over the years, like I've just met a lot of different people, and I mean in the earlys, like I wasn't really interested in. I just wanted to play pan. Like I started to
Right.
love pan. I was like, oh yeah, I just want to play pan. But when I decided, I was always interested in teaching kids.
Okay.
But it seemed that I was always sort of geared back towards music.
Mm.
Because I was kind of like, I mean, I don't want to make this sound bragging or anything, but I kind of really was good at doing music theory. As
Right.
especially like the first several, we used to do graded music, so I was kind of just good at it. I didn't really used to put any extra effort into it, and I was like, I'm doing all of these other things. I was into sports. I was trying to do like early childhood education and all that sort of stuff, and I was like, this it just doesn't feel right. Like maybe I
Right.
should just continue doing what comes natural and what seems effortless, and actually put
Mm-hmm.
effort into that. So then
Yeah.
I found out about a new program that was starting in UTT, a certificate, no, a diploma program, and I auditioned and got through, and since then full train. So
Okay.
through just kind of education, I started
Mm-hmm.
learning a lot more on the theoretical side of music, and then applying that, of course, to performance. And then you're exposed to a lot of other musicians, locally, internationally, and you just kind of get more exposed. And you have to be
Right.
like interested in learning. So through that, I kind of got into like a lot of other areas, which I'm sure we could get into as
Oh, of course.
as we
Of
go
course.
along.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just over the years and just through some of the persons that I've known, I used to hang around a lot of mature people.
Yeah.
So you
Mm-hmm.
would always get like stories about history, about Panorama, about Panchamigo, just about how people live their lives in Pan. And that just
Yeah.
kind of, over time it just started, it's like they were planting little seeds.
Right.
And I'm just always a curious person to want to know a little bit more. So the
Mm-hmm.
more I got to know is the more interesting it got. Um, and the more you see things and you travel, it's like, yeah, I think something needs
Right.
to happen. I don't know what it is yet, but
Right.
something needs to happen. And just over time, I just kind of became more interested. And even now, looking back at like our education system and being more into music, is just like, yeah, no, we need to do better. So
Mm-hmm.
I will always
Yeah.
advocate for more pan.
Nice, nice. And is that why you started Mecca management? Like how did that come about?
How did that come
Sorry.
about?
Yeah.
So my brain just kind of runs on like 2000 a lot of times.
Right.
Um, and especially through education, through my experiences with school, like I've been in
Mm-hmm.
two university programs that were pilot programs. So we used to call ourselves the guinea pigs because we know how that go.
Of course.
You're
Of
weeding
course.
out all of the issues.
Yeah.
And through those experiences, I was always a person who I said, if I learned something and if I struggled through it, like I don't
Mm-hmm.
feel like the people coming after they have to do the same.
Right.
Because life always throws curveballs at you, so
Mm-hmm.
therefore you're gonna have issues and struggles, obstacles, however you want to put it, no matter what. So if I can help you avoid one
Yeah.
or two or three, then I am willing to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's through just my interest in wanting to see more for Pan and learning so much more about music business, the music industry, and trying to really figure out, okay, how can we turn Pan into a music business industry?
Right.
Um, because there's so many different facets of it, and we don't utilize not even a quarter of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really just kind of stemmed from me wanting to do more for Pan and wanting to do more for artists, um, and trying to really develop artists. That's why artist development is like a key component to in Mecca. It really helps people not just focus on the talent aspect of it, because you can find talent a dime a dozen, but all of
Yeah.
the other things that come with it, which is putting yourself out there in a professional manner. And I know a lot of people say, when I use the word professional, people think it's like, oh, you have to be like all stuffy, and it's like, this is
Mm-hmm.
music, this is music industry. Like, we
Yeah.
don't, especially in the Caribbean, we equate professionalism to corporate world, and
Right.
it's not really that. But I
Yeah.
really wanted to start to do more to help colleagues, younger ones coming up and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
to really just put themselves out in a better light, because even if we have all the talent in the world, it's not going to really get you where you need to go if you don't have all of the other tools that go along with that.
Right.
And that's where I started kind of putting, bit by bit, putting bricks upon bricks to sort of build what could this company be.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted to be a entertainment management company that focuses on music business. Like, there are other elements for just general creatives and people who consider themselves artists, but it's
Right.
heavily focused on music business, and of course with an emphasis on steel pan development.
Right. Right. So we spoke briefly about it last week. You mentioned that Steel Panic should have a resume of some sort.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, yeah. So for those that missed out on that, can you kind of explain what kind of a resume they should have, or why should they have a resume?
Well, I mean, anybody should have a resume. Like, if you don't feel like
Hmm.
you should have a resume just because you're creative, then,
Right.
problematic.
Right.
And as you saying goes now, that's a red flag.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the the concept of the resume is really, it's tailored to whatever it is necessary at the time. So a
Hmm.
resume, you may not necessarily, I mean, you don't really send the same resume everywhere. And that's
Right.
something that I learned throughout years and years. Like, I have tons of my own resumes, and every single one of them are different. Even though some of
Hmm.
the information is transferable, it's really tailored specifically to what it is that person is looking for. And
Right.
you transfer that same concept of a traditional resume into what you do in music or creativity, especially when you're young and now starting out. Like, if you're
Hmm.
known, you know, your resume sort of speaks for itself because you already
Right.
built a platform and a name for yourself. But when you're young and you're now starting out in a field, like, that's necessary because people don't
Hmm.
know who you are, and you can now use that resume as a catalyst to sort of say, hey, this is who I am and this is what I want to do. And
Right.
yeah, you just sort of tailor that to whatever it is. So if it's a performance, you tailor your resume towards performance. Like,
Hmm.
you shouldn't be putting extra stuff there that has nothing to do with what you're applying for.
Right. Right.
Um,
Uh,
and that can really go in a lot of different ways. It just really depends on what the opportunity is.
hmm. So if someone is new to, we'll say, want to become more professional, and they come to you, What should be their first steps into making themselves known and getting out there?
Well, we would definitely, so through consultation, we would definitely look at, okay, what are your goals? And you should have
Right.
like at least three layers of goals. What
Mm-hmm.
are your, or maybe even four, what are your immediate goals? What are your short-term goals? Your 5 year, 3 to 5 year goals, and then what are some of your long-term goals? So
Mm-hmm.
it really varies depending on what your end game is.
Right.
That timeline could change for everybody. So that's what one
Mm-hmm.
of the things about that I really liked about what I put together is that everything I do is individualized. So what I do for
Right.
you would not be the same as what I do for somebody else.
Okay.
Um, so no two-person situation may be alike. You may have the same needs, but it's your experience, your opportunities won't always be the same. So it's
Right.
very specialized. And then once we figure out what those things are, we start doing a little bit of a career mapping to help you get from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and one of the simpler things that I would do is help you create a portfolio. So a portfolio is like a resume, but it's a little bit more detailed with a little bit more visuals happening in it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's something that you can use as a physical representation of, hey, this is what I have. So you can use that on your website, or you can use it on your social media platforms. Um, so it just has a little bit more. So you'd have like more audio, more video stuff going on in there versus like a resume, which is all just sort of worded formatting. So those
Right.
are some of like the first things we would do, and then depending on what the results from those exercises are, then we would figure out, okay, what would be the next steps for you.
Okay. Okay. Typically, how long does someone have to talk with you to get to their end goal or just to get themselves started? How
Well,
long does that usually process? Depends.
it depends on the person, because at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, my goal is to really give you information, help you find the information that you need, but you have to do the work. Like I can't
Right.
do the work for you.
Right.
I can share the work with you. I can stand with you. I can have sit down and bring you meals while you do the work. But at the end of the day, you have to really put in the work, and it depends on how fast or slow you choose to really progress for yourself. That would
Mm-hmm.
determine how quickly or how slowly you get to your goals.
Right.
And like I said, everybody's goals vary. So
Fair
yeah.
enough. Fair enough. Are you doing this for steel bands, soloists, tuners, or
So
are you just focused on one person right now or a certain group?
well, right now, just because of COVID, I've focused a little bit more on individuals,
Okay.
but it's definitely geared to individuals and groups. I prefer to do smaller groups rather than large ones. But when it comes to bands, it's a little bit more intricate. It's not. I definitely have components that facilitate similarly as I would do with artists, but it also depends on like where the band is.
Right.
Um, and again, similar things with a group or a band, their needs might be different to another one. So I
Right.
might go in a fully functioning band, and for what we know to be fully functioning,
Mm-hmm.
and they may want to set up a program, or they may want to put something in place for recruitment,
Right.
to do more sustainability. They may want to start a junior band. They may want to do some community engagement. So it
Mm-hmm.
really depends on what they're interested in, and then we just tailor something specifically for them.
Okay. Wow. So I'm gonna ask you. This might be a hard question. I don't know. Why did you decide on the name Mecca?
Isn't it obvious?
I don't know. It might be
so,
for those that may not know.
so, so when I think of pan, I really wanted a word that was, again, this started with pan, but it extends
Hmm.
to general entertainment and creatives, because I work with technicians and engineers and stuff as well. So,
Right.
um, but it started with pan in mind. And when I think of Trinidad and Tobago, when I think of pan, as the saying goes, we are the land and the Mecca of pan. And I was just like, I just can't. That word just kept like being stuck in my head. And I was like,
Right.
I'm just gonna go with it.
Okay. And that's how it all started.
Um, well, the ideas came before the name. The name just kind
Okay.
of came eventually, and the there was an acronym for Mecca, and honestly, I don't ever remember it because it changes so much just on how things how things change. But it was something along the lines of music education and cultural community agency or something like that.
Yeah.
So I had it as an acronym, and yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I don't, so what are the you said you do everything. So what is everything that you do for a soloist or an individual or a band? Just
Well, okay, so let me just kind of break down the components
yeah.
of everything. So these areas that I'm going to mention, they are detailed, but these are the overall primary areas that our services fall under. So it falls
Okay.
under administrative. So administrative is anything, of course, with paperwork. And these services fall under virtual assistants, which would encompass things as we mentioned, resumes, CVs, newsletters, bios or artist statements, writers, business plans, presentations, content planners, contracts. So all of those things sort of fall under administrative, portfolios and so on, and the things that go along with that with them. Then we have HR, which is of course human resources, and that focuses on recruitment and personnel. So basically staffing. Uh, these things fall under what I consider a resource agent. So a resource agent services where we source or acquire persons for
Sorry.
specific jobs.
I, can I can you guys hear her? Maybe it's just on my end. I may have to leave and come back.
What? I'm here. I'm hearing you.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Okay, so it's my end. So I may have to go and come back.
Oh, they're all saying yes. They can hear.
Yeah, it's on my end. Okay, so I'm gonna have to come out and I'm gonna have to come back in. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'll come back. I'll come back. Everyone come
Okay.
back.